Thank you, sir. Sustainable chemistry in education, that is my topic, and I'm little away from whatever has been spoken here because I'm moving towards, because my profession is a teaching profession, so I wanted to really shape up the future of next generation. So for that reason, this topic was very fascinating for me when I found in the green chemistry. So here I would like to quote an important point. Dr. Susan, I don't know whether you know about her, she exclaimed recently saying that chemistry is all over the planet. Okay, like how we all are here occupied in the room. So it's all over the planet instead what we were thinking in the form of a test tube. So I mean to say that chemistry is now everywhere, and what is the impact that is giving to us, and what is going to happen in future, and what I'm urging from all the chemists and as a teacher, as a lecturer for a particular institution and so on. So moving on to my presentation here. So these are my points, like the chemistry in education followed by green chemistry in education. And now we are talking about the sustainable chemistry in education. So the implementation from school, that is what I'm looking for, and then high school and then higher institution. And I'm planning to have students of being a change maker, and also they should at the end become as sustainable champions. So these are my future plans, and that is what my presentation will be representing. So my key focus on the sustainability chemistry is like, what is the background for thinking of this topic, and what is the important definition, and how it affects the health, safety, climate, ecosystem, and so on. And let me now move forward to ask you a question. Is anyone here a teacher? Okay, great. Okay. So thank you so much for that innocent question. And yeah, basically what I'm trying to say here is what we were doing for last 100 years is what is this, like chemical disasters, toxic chemicals, plastic debris, and waste pollution. So today I found everyone speaking a lot of new things, and the operation is done by the doctor, but the patient is dead. Because our byproducts are like that. All our byproducts are giving some kind of all these 4 points in the environment. So which I'm going to emphasize today. So you can see here, when I talk about the byproduct of my colleagues speaking here, none of them was sustainable. None of them were environmental friendly. And at the same time, they were having a lot of health hazards. So this is the paradigm shift that I wanted to bring in the future generation. So as I move forward, I just want you to keenly look at this Venn diagram, and here you can see we were talking in terms of chemistry, that is use chemicals and so on, but we never spoke in terms of the most focal point. This is a focal point which we call it as sustainable chemistry. And in course of time, we understood that green chemistry is so important, but as we went forward, we started to use the toxic chemicals also. Like Sir was just now pointing out about zeolites, whereas on the other side we have MOF and so on. So all these things were focused on here, but my aim is to focus this particular Venn diagram. So for that reason, I have come up with some examples, and at the end, what is my research going on is also be an important part of the work. So what is sustainable chemistry? It is nothing but you develop, you apply chemicals, but at the same time, think about what is going to be the impact in the future generation. We are only looking at applying the chemicals, getting the new products, what is the benefit, waste to wealth. So this is what another topic I realized today, waste to wealth. So all these focus is there, but we are forgetting the future generation, how it is going to affect the human and the ecosystem. So the real definition is on the board for you. And what we need to focus on is also shown some of the criteria. Now today, whoever spoke today, including me, we are not thinking in terms of these points. We are only thinking to just establish a new product. which can solve a small purposes, and with that it's over. So my question is like my urge for you all is like whenever we are presenting a topic, I want you all to focus on these points, which will later improve the environment and also the health and also the ecosystem and so on. So I don't have to read because it's self-explanatory. And then came a lot of research. Whatever points I'm going to discuss today is just I collected from Jan to June. So even yesterday, I was just focusing on what is a new thing happening in and around me. So are we really into it like this? Okay, my first thing is carbon dioxide. Today, everyone spoke about carbon dioxide, and I found some of them are trapping in zeolite, some of them trapping in MOFs, and so on. But I'm a research student, in fact, though I'm working in one of the schools here, but I'm also a research student. And I'm also trying to find some method to prepare quinazolines, which is a heterocyclic organic compound. But I want to really convert this carbon dioxide using my product. But it's really leading me to undesired products, which is making me to think and reverse back. Like one of my friends spoke about reverse engineering and so on. So all those things are really making me to stop my research and think what best I can do it. So here I can find here carbon dioxide fixation and everything we are doing, but there's a lot of side effects happening. So how to overcome is the big question I'm posing to you all. So normally you have to give me the question, but I'm posing to you all. So as researchers, what best we can do in this area is the focus rather than getting just some product which is not suitable for the environment. Similarly, the second important thing I'm noticing, an amazing thing happening now actually is artificial cooling earth. Anybody knows about it? Yeah, it is a very dangerous research going on. And what is going to happen in future is a big question mark. That is, they are going to reflect the sun's radiation. Okay, that is the research going on, and many people are working on it theoretically right now, and it's going to be in lab very soon. Now you can imagine the solar, we all are science first and then chemistry. So we can imagine that solar radiation again sending back to the universe. So such a worsened situation is happening. So why am I talking about all this? I'm having one more point in my mind, that is the present generation is not focused in this. So I wanted to bring my future generation to learn more about this. That is my aim of today's presentation. You can see here as a teacher, I have also presented you the objective and also have spoken about the learning outcomes. That is, what is a learning outcome in the school or in college or in higher institution should be on the pros and cons of this particular topic. Because no one knows about it. We all are already well established, but I'm thinking of my students in the classroom. They don't know anything about it. So as chemists, what best we can do it in the classroom is what you need to look for. So I want you always focus on not on the example, at the same time, focus on the learning outcome that I wanted in the classroom. So I'm just connecting chemistry with education. So moving to my third example, yes, platinum, the next most important catalyst which I found in every presentation, either in the form of palladium or platinum or copper or silver. So we are trying to use and we want to incorporate more of this usefulness in the classroom environment. You can see here my learning outcomes are, what is the latest advancement? In the classroom, we only speak one thing about platinum. Can anyone tell me? What do you speak in the classroom for about platinum? What is the first point that comes to our mind? It's a noble metal. It's inert. It's highly expensive. It's costly. So these are the points my children know about it. But are they knowing any advancement in that? The latest advancement? Now it's time for all of us to turn back and check in this way so that our younger generation is moving towards the sustainable chemistry. So I'm not talking about just chemistry or green chemistry. My focus is on the focal point, sustainable chemistry. Moving further, the fourth next important thing is, actually, I want you all to read one of the book that I have published. the advancement in green and sustainable chemistry. I have completely written on the topic ionic fluids, liquids, and the collaborative of many authors together have made that particular book, which will give you a lot of information on how to have a approach, green approach and sustainable chemistry. And here I have present, I found today one of the speaker was talking about the electrochemical transformation of converting carbon dioxide into hydrocarbons or maybe useful fuels and so on. It's all important. I'm not finding any faults or being very negative, but I'm trying to say that this particular thing should go into the classroom so that the children come up, the next generation come up with sustainable chemistry approach in all our research that we are doing. So moving to the next example. Yes, the next important one. So far, I was talking about the chemistry part of it, but what we are doing to this world, even today, if you see our food, everything was related with processed food. We are slowly forgetting the real natural food that we are supposed to have. In place of that, we are moving into ultra processed food. How many of you know that how dangerous is ultra processed food? And it's all we chemists who did it, okay? So we have to claim for that. And what I'm trying to say here is, like, why don't we teach this in the classroom so that the next generation at least will be safe? Because in those days, if you see, we were going for natural food and we had natural death. But now we are going for ultra processed food. And just 2-3 days back, one of my colleagues passed away because of cancer. And the question is why? It's a big question mark. We are still not knowing what is the reason. So slowly, it has become a killer thing, the ultra processed food. It is leading to a lot of health hazards, which we need to understand first, and we need to inculcate in the minds of the young generation. So you can see here, I've just mentioned the points here, and my learning outcome is try to explain the harmful effects to the next generation so that they don't come up with such kind of food items. Moving to the next part. Now, everyone thinks we all are drinking safe water. But if you really get into it and check, we are into this kind of human-made forever chemicals. Our drinking water is definitely containing some amount of chemicals. Now, how did this go into water? Can anyone tell me? I'm really puzzled. I'm like you, a researcher, and I'm like you doing my research. But I'm really puzzled how these chemicals entered into the water beds, how they entered into air, and why they are troubling us, and we are not able to drink water very safe from any of the bottles. Either it is in the form of, I'm coming to the next slide, but this kind of contaminations are in very high level. Now, are we reasoned for that? Because today I found many people doing research with rubidium, lanthanum, cesium. I found everyone speaking about rare earth metals, but there was a purpose. I'm not finding any negative impact on that. I'm seeing a purpose is there when you all were speaking about it. But did we speak anything on the toxic nature of these transition metals? Is what is my concern, and that's what is a learning outcome that we need to bring. Children of the next generation should definitely know the water standards. They should be taught not just H2O is water. We need not teach just H2O as water. What are the standards available? Our way of education in the classroom should change so that our chemistry becomes much more stronger and become into a sustainable chemistry. That's my aim. And moving further, this is another thing which is happening, and everywhere solar. Everywhere you can find, if you come to my hometown, my friend is here who is from Gujarat, you will find fields and fields of solar farm. Their poverty is not gone, but the solar panels have gone up. I'm not so sarcastic, but at the same time, I'm talking about the reality. I think everyone should understand that. So what I'm trying to say here is we are constructing solar farms on one side, and on the other side, we are damaging the entire society and things like that. Even I tried myself as a researcher this is my idea, which I'm trying to share with you. There is make solar roofs on top of the building itself so that we don't have farms like this. Try to avoid that. But what to do? We are into waste to wealth and renewable sources to wealth. So our main focus is on that, not on the real situation that we are talking about. So moving further, these are next coming to the next important branch of chemistry, that is nanotechnology. Now this nanotechnology, this now nano clusters were spoken. I'm really very happy. I was so impressed with the discussion and so on. But this nano, what is the number? What is the number actually in meters? It's what is 1 nanometer equal to? 10 to minus 9. 10 power minus 9 meter. And now you can see here, this nano is now getting converted into cluster form and getting trapped into metal frameworks and so on. And at the same time, it is going into the water bodies and other areas in minute nanoparticles. And what is the implication of it? Unknowingly, we are taking it into our body. So what best we can do, we need to think. I'm not saying anything to any of the researchers. And as a research, I'm just thinking what best we can do with this nano, because it's application is more. Of course, the application is more. Without nano, we cannot have different other applications that are available. I'm not going to talk about it. There are vast applications, no doubt at all, but do not allow it to move into the environment and create health hazards is my topic actually for today. Moving further is the next one. I'm really impressed with this particular. So you can see my slide, though I presented some 1 month before to the organization. I found that every slide was reflecting on you all. That's what I understood, because today I found somebody speaking about the enzymes playing an important role in converting the plastics into some other form, or maybe the nanoparticles, or even the carbon dioxide into some other form. So we can teach this in the classroom. This is what I'm expecting we all to become in future. That is how we can convert this plastic polyethylene, how we can convert in the presence of sunlight into simpler particles, but using enzymes, using the fungal thing and so on, not with the chemicals. So what best or minimum amount of chemicals can be used so that it doesn't create any environmental problems. So then comes my another important thing now. These are the latest 2024 inventions that are happening around us. I think some of my friends will agree with me. And this promethium is another important advancement has happened. And I'm sure a lot of coordination compounds were spoken here. And definitely it has to be an important topic for the next generation. So how many of you know microplastics? Microplastic has become a big danger for us. That's why I started my presentation with last 100 years. We didn't realize that this plastic is going to create a lot of problems. Now plastics are found in every part of the world. Like for example, I'll give you a case study here, which I just read in one of the papers. That is a person who did not work in any of the plastic industry. He was so far away working in, being in some countryside. But when you check the blood sample, it was found some amount of plastic material. Okay, this is what is happening now. And there is a method for crushing the plastic also. When I'm not seeing here around, but I'm seeing one water bottle there. There's a method of crushing. We cannot crush them or just throw ledges like that. There's so many environmental methods have come, how to incorporate in the student level or at our level also, so that we understand the hazardous thing of microplastic that is happening. Particularly because of PVC, the polyvinyl chloride, and also because of polyethylene. So moving further. So like this, endless results were noticed in this 2024, right from Jan to June. It was so amazing to read the chemistry articles. And I've just presented some of the invention, and the inventions are just endless. Okay, but what is me doing in my place? What am I doing is bringing the children together, making them understand. Okay, so in my school where I'm working, I've just made a group of four divisions, I should call it. That is energy, nature, astronomy, and climate. These four division children, they work on their own. This is what I'm trying to do in my research. They work on their own. They speak about the application. They speak about the pros. They speak about the cons, and they try to explain to each other. I'm trying to inculcate in the minds of people, I mean, my students, so that the chemistry has become into green chemistry, and finally it has to get converted in a near future, maybe 2030 or 2040, it has to become into sustainable chemistry. And I think this is the right forum I felt to talk about it. So moving further. So in the beginning, we thought chemistry is just a study of some amazing chemicals and so on. Later, very soon, we understood it is toxic. And this is my conclusion points. That is, very soon we understood it is toxic. But at the same time, we started to use, though it was toxic, we never compromised. We started to use it in large scale. That's what happened. And but now I urge all my researchers, being me also one of the member of you all. So I want you all to focus in this way. So maybe when we meet next time, all our researchers should come up with this kind of point as my urge, including me, that we speak about the most important thing is what is a developing solution that we have for the sustainable changes. So to bring the sustainable changes for the next generation. So that is my urge. We cannot solve problem with the same thinking. We are still thinking we are chemists, we are doing chemistry, we know very well everything, but we are not ready to change to the need of the next generation. So that is my conclusion for today's topic. Thank you so much. Any questions, please?